Good morning, welcome to Sunday Breakfast with Chris Mason and Rachel Bird.
Our headlines today, rolling out to the under-60s. More than 1 million people in England aged between 56 and 59 will be offered a coronavirus vaccination.
A tale of two broadcasts. The royal family marked Commonwealth Day just hours before the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's interview with Oprah.
Good morning. Rangers are almost there. Against the advice, fans gather outside Ibrox to celebrate after victory takes them to the brink of their first Scottish Premiership title in a decade.
We also have a special visitor today.
And the goats butting in on your work Zoom calls.
Good morning. It's quite a cold and a frosty start to the morning for some of us, but a mostly dry day ahead. Expect some rain across parts of Scotland. It's still fairly chilly for the time of year. I'll have all the details throughout the morning's programme.
Good morning. It is just after 6 o'clock, Sunday the 7th of March. Our top story. People in their late 50s in England are now being invited to book their coronavirus vaccination.
Letters sent to hundreds of thousands of people between the ages of 56 and 59 began arriving yesterday, with more expected to be delivered tomorrow. Here's our health correspondent, Nick Triggle.
The NHS has given the green light to those below the age of 60 in England to start getting their first dose of the Covid vaccine. People aged 56 to 59 are now able to go online or call 119 to book an appointment for their jab. Letters have also been arriving at people's homes, inviting them to take up the opportunity. There are 1.7 million people in this latest age group in England. It comes after 21.8 million people in the UK have been given their first dose so far. That's 2/5 of all adults.
It's so important for everyone to take up their offer when it's their turn, because it's the best way to protect you, to protect your loved ones, and get back to the lives that we've all loved and missed so much. And by protecting yourself, you're protecting your community as well. So we really do urge you, if you've been offered the vaccination, take it up without delay.
So far, more than 9 in 10 people aged 65 and over and those who are clinically vulnerable have been vaccinated. And the NHS has offered nearly all those aged 60 to 64 a jab, as well as younger adults with health conditions. It means the programme can now move on to the under-60s. In fact, some areas which have made the most progress have already started doing this. The aim is to offer all adults a first jab by the end of July. Ministers have said they're expecting an increase in vaccine supply during the second half of March, and it will not be long before the rest of those aged over 50 are invited for a jab. Nick Triggle, BBC News.
The Royal College of Nursing has said the government's guidance on personal protective equipment is fundamentally flawed. The trade union has called for the recommendations to be updated, saying they were based on out-of-date evidence. The Department of Health said staff safety was a top priority.
The most anticipated royal interview for years, the controversial Oprah Winfrey interview with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, airs in the US later tonight.
Just hours before the interview, the Queen will address a UK television audience to share her annual Commonwealth Day message. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell has more.
It is a sharp divergence within the royal family, and over the next 24 hours it will be sharply demonstrated by two very different broadcasts. In the early hours of tomorrow, UK time, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will unburden themselves on US television. It will be a broadcast when, as the preview clips have shown, Meghan will explain why she needed to escape from life within the royal establishment.
As an adult who lived a really independent life, to then go into this construct that is different than I think what people imagine it to be, it's really liberating.
Hours before the Sussex broadcast from Westminster Abbey in London, the Queen and other principal members of the royal family will focus on the Covid pandemic. In pre-recorded messages to mark Commonwealth Day, they'll reflect on the pandemic's impact around the world.
Amidst such heartbreaking suffering, however, the extraordinary determination, courage and creativity with which people have responded has been an inspiration to us all.
needs looking after.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will pay tribute to healthcare workers.
Catherine and I have spoken to a lot of healthcare workers in the UK and around the world over the last year, and we hear your worries and your concerns, and thank you for your time chatting to us about it.
Thank you, for sharing for us and asking for help for us. So thank you very much.
There will also be a pre-recorded message to the Commonwealth from the Queen. Her theme, the importance of working together. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News.
The majority of parents in England will be happy to send their children back to school tomorrow, but 2/3 are concerned about the amount of learning lost.
A survey by the Institute for Fiscal Studies reveals some parents think their child will never catch up. Our education editor Bronwyn Jeffries reports.
It's been tough for parents, homeschooling while juggling work. But it's back to classrooms in England tomorrow, and most parents are relieved. Almost 6,000 parents gave their views on school return. Around 90% support the return to classrooms. More than 60% are worried about lost learning, so it's no surprise that 80% support tutoring. But parents also want creative and outdoor activities. So how long do they think it will take children to catch up?
31% of parents who are concerned about lost learning think that it'll take their child a whole year or longer to make up for everything that they've lost out on over the course of the pandemic. At the extreme end, 9% of secondary school parents think that their child won't be able to make up for their lost learning ever.
Tutoring is already underway in some schools. A national programme in England is part of catch-up. The government has committed £1.7 billion for this year and next, but faces calls for a longer-term plan after that. Bronwyn Jeffries, BBC News.
The family of a woman who's been missing since Wednesday say they are increasingly worried for her welfare. Relatives of 33-year-old Sarah Everard say her disappearance is totally out of character. Detectives released this CCTV image of Sarah the night she went missing while walking home from a friend's house in Clapham in South London. They are appealing for information.
I think we've got to carry on with our inquiries, look for where the evidence takes us. We're undergoing lots of inquiries at the moment, as I said, around the clock. We don't want to draw any conclusions at this stage. We're keeping an open mind. And as I say, our main objective is to locate Sarah and hopefully reunite her with her family.
Pope Francis is set to visit parts of Iraq that were once controlled by Islamic State militants on the third day of his landmark trip to the country. In the city of Mosul, he's expected to offer a prayer for victims of war. He'll also celebrate Mass at a football stadium with up to 10,000 people due to attend. But there are some fears the service could fuel the spread of coronavirus.
The co-founder of Twitter has listed his first ever tweet for sale and bids have reached nearly £2 million. This was a very short message that Jack Dorsey wrote back in March 2006 and it read, "Just setting up my Twitter," with the vowels missing from the final word. The highest bidder will get a special digital certificate to prove they own the tweet. But it will still be available for anyone to view on the social media platform. So, I mean, just why?
What do I want? A digital certificate. When do I want it? Never.
I don't know what he's doing with the 2 million, and it could well be that it's going to good causes, which is brilliant, right? But I don't know what would possess anyone to pay that amount of money for a few words.
What I think is interesting, looking back at that tweet from 2006, is all the rage then, wasn't it, was to drop unnecessary letters from your text messages, because we were all on pre-smartphone and typing things out with the number keys and all that kind of stuff.
OK.
That kind of flashback to
that takes me back.
Pre-smartphone.
I suppose it is a piece of cultural history, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's kind of there for us all to see, isn't it? Yeah, anyway. Someone's going to pay for it.
I don't know how valuable your tweets would be, Chris. Possibly not quite so much. Little pictures of your Casio alarm clock.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.